Hey guys, sitting here in my garage, just want to give you a quick update on some things going on with Grace and myself and kind of the family. So we are actually going to Cambodia March 13th with Lightbridge International, and it's a pretty big deal for Grace to go. Just want to get kind of give you a backstory and ask you for your prayers. So if you're the praying person, if you're a prayer warrior, we appreciate your prayers on this. So a year ago, or December 21, Grace got diagnosed with SIRS, which is a chronic inflammation response syndrome, which basically means her body doesn't get rid of toxins. And so when she walks in a room, whether it has mold, whether it has perfume, whether it has toxins from the carpet, the paint, whatever it may be, her body doesn't get rid of, and it causes inflammation in her body and pain and foggy mind and a couple other things. So it's a it's pretty big deal, and it has changed her life dramatically. But the Brad Dad moment is what she's done to overcome it and to work through it and to be able to get to the point where she's able to go to Cambodia. So years ago, God put it on her heart to be a missionary in Cambodia. So when she graduates this year from high school, she her plan is to go to Cambodia for a year, and so it's pretty cool, pretty awesome. But like I said, December 21, she got diagnosed with SIRS. We've been dealing with this since freshman year, roughly, and it's kind of gone over the board. It started with uh, a minor passing out, just out of the blue in school. She did it probably half a dozen times over a year or two, and then it morphed into she was allergic to nickel, and so she would have to take a blanket to school to even sit in the seats. If not, her tongue and throat would swell. We were in the ER twice because she wasn't breathing right, and her tongue was swelling enough that she was starting to wheeze, and so you could hear her breathing, and so we had to rush her to the ER. And then it morphed into immense hip pain and loose hips and loose knees where she could barely walk. She would really wobble. I mean, it was pretty sad to watch her walk. Like she would walk to church and she would have to hold my arm to even walk in. And so that morphed, like we were at a concert one time and she got hit by something and we had to get a wheelchair to get her out because she couldn't stand up. She couldn't walk. Her knees wouldn't and hips wouldn't hold her. And so then it morphed into where we were this last year, and she would get hit by something, and she'd cough for about 5 minutes, kind of a heavy just cough, 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 then pass out for about 10 seconds where her eyes would still be open. So she would just sit there and go for 10 seconds. She looked dead. It was scary. And then she'd come to, and then she'd be blind for about a minute or two. And then that would fade off and she'd be able to start to see. And then she was just fine and be able to move on. So then from there, uh, it morphed into kind of a big coughing spells where she coughed for about an hour and a half at one point, and where she couldn't stop coughing and she was kind of puking up stuff. And so it's been quite the journey. And so for her and I to even go to Cambodia is a miracle, is God sent. So right now I'm asking for prayer that God would open the doors for her to be able to go over there for a year and serve him. And if you've seen her in this past 3 or 4 years, some of you probably wouldn't know she was sick because her attitude was great. She would serve where she can and do what she can, um, and so it's just a miracle to see her function the way she did. In fact, SIRS is a kind of a hereditary thing, so it probably came through myself and or Amanda. In fact, for some of you who know, my brother's been sick for 15 years, and he had the same thing. In fact, I think it's funny how God works that he was sick for 15 years, and then Grace got diagnosed December-ish of 21, and my brother actually got miraculously healed by God in March. So without my brother's knowledge of what he went through, Grace's life would have been a lot worse. And so we just praise God that um, my brother was able to send us down the right road with all this because again, it changed. the story. It just changes. It's always changing. And so it's just cool to see what God has done and see what God has done through my daughter. Uh, when she first got diagnosed with this, I couldn't pray for it. I couldn't pray for healing. In fact, I was on the golf course with some friends of mine, and I was just bawling, trying to hit the golf ball, and it doesn't work very well. I was just bawling because I can't pray for my daughter. I can't pray. I can't pray for healing, and I didn't know what the block was. And then next Sunday we were at church, and she comes waddling in, and some friends behind us asked her to pray for her, to pray to heal. I'm like, yeah, sure. And they pray, and then Grace kind of waddles out. At home that afternoon, I'm asking her, I'm like, hey, what was your thoughts on that? And this was from a 16-year-old. She's like, Dad, I don't think God's going to heal me right now. God's going to use this, and I don't know how or why, but God's going to use this. And my daughter's faith of a 16-year-old rocked my world. And from that moment, I was able to pray for her that God would use this. Do what it takes to use her, to encourage people to do whatever it is. So, again, for my prayer warriors out there, pray March 13th on that God does what he wants during this time, that he opens or closes the door for her to be in Cambodia. Excited for her, scared for her for sure. So I just wanted to give you an update and let you know what's been going on in Grace's life. She's a little rock star. She's absolutely amazing. And so we'll keep you updated, kind of what's going on with the trip when we get back, all that fun stuff. So appreciate the prayers, appreciate the thoughts. You guys have a great night. See ya.